Right, this is a brief overview of the software Uccnc. Right, as you can see on the right hand side, you've got where code is displayed. That's your G code, and that is on the left hand side you've got a visual representation of what your G code is actually going to do. In this case, it's just for surfacing the bed, so it's just going to zigzag along like that. The main features of it are you've got your reset button there, which we would have gone over already on starting and stopping the machine and everything. You've got cycle start, which would set the process of the machine running through the code. I won't push it because it's going to try and surface the bed. So you've got cycle start. You've got single line, and what single line do, it will move every time you push cycle start. It will process one line at a time. So to go from there to there, you'd have to push cycle start on every line when that single line is activated. Feed hold, what that does, it pauses the code. So the machine will be moving around like that, and you push feed hold and it will stop. You push feed hold again and it will set off again. And that's how you pause the machine if you ever want to have a break with feed hold. Run from here is a feature where you can run from a certain point within the code if you want to. I will do another video on run from here. So offline mode is something you don't touch. It's basically lets you use the machine offline, so you can use the software but the machine won't move. It's very dangerous because it's actually messes up the coordinates of the machine, so I recommend you don't touch that. Override limits is to get you off the limits. We've done a separate video on overriding limits and getting off limits, which you can see on there. Cycle stop stops the program, so when it's cycling through, when the machine's running, push cycle stop, it will stop. It's basically the same as pushing e-stop, so it's not something you would use unless you had to. If you want to pause the machine while you're running, you use feed hold and then you push cycle stop. If the machine's moving and you push cycle stop, you have to treat it as though it's an emergency stop. So it's not something I recommend you do if you want to keep your position. Next up is this area here. We've got a little information telling you what parameters the machine's set up in. Then we've got MDI, which is manual data input. You can type in manual data commands there when you get a bit more advanced. Next up, we've got the overrides. We've got feed override and spindle override, and we can override them up to 300%. At the minute we're at 150%, and you'll see there's a red light flashing because we're overridden. You can push the R button and it will get it off. It will go back to 100%. The red light goes off because we're at 100%. If you go negative on the override, the light will go green. So green is negative, red is positive, and off is 100%. The very handy features, the overrides are very useful for finding your speeds and feeds when you're trying to set them. So you will set a speed and feed initially, then when you're cutting, if you want to go faster, you can go a bit faster or a bit slower until you're happy with it, and then you can use that information in your program. Same for the spindle. The spindle speed works exactly the same. You'll notice it says overridden right there. It's got a spindle speed set at 3000. If I override the spindle speed, I've overrid it to 150% and it's gone to 150%. The actual feed rate of it, spindle speed I've set is 4000, but that's going to be the overrid value. And that is how, like I say, when you're using your program, you will use these to dial in your toolpaths and your speeds and feeds, and that's what you'll do. Right, this bit here, change tool, doesn't apply to us because we don't have a tool changer, so just ignore that. Dwell comes on when you've got the spindle starts up. There'll be a dwell of about 10 or 15 seconds. While it's dwelling, it will flash that light green, and then it will go off. Next up, down is the buttons down here. We've got spindle clockwise. We'll start the spindle in the clockwise direction. So if I click on that button, the spindle starts up. Click it again, it goes off. Spindle counterclockwise doesn't work because we can't, on our machines we don't use it. Same for mist and coolant, we don't use mist and coolant buttons. The probe button, we would push the probe for the touch probe, so when you use the touch probe for finding the Z height. Again, I'll do a separate video on that. JSP is jog safe probe. That is if you've got a touch probe that goes around and touches off, like touches, that's a jog safe feature. It's not something we use on our machines again. So then we've got go to part 1, go to part 2. Those are pre-programmed coordinates on the machine that the machine will move to. Again, I'll do a separate video on them showing you what they do. Load file, edit file, rewind file, they do exactly what they say. Load file loads a G-code file, edit file will edit the G-code file, rewind will rewind it. So if I jog down through the code, it will rewind it to the top of the code. And close file does exactly what it says, it closes the file. Right, over this side we've got various information. So you've got your machine coordinates there and you've got your work coordinates there. The machine coordinates are not something that you're really bothered about too much, but it does display them. It's the work coordinates that matter to you when you're using the machine, and those are displayed there. Now, to set a work coordinate to 0, so you find your 0 point, what you would do is you would jog the machine. So for instance, if I jog the machine there, and I want to set my x-axis 0 now, so I click on the button there, it says Z0, so I will 0 that and you'll see the coordinate 0 out there, it's gone to 0. You will do the same for the Y, and you probably do the same for the Z. And they're all zeroed out, so that's where our 0 point for work coordinate will be. You've also got A, B and C, but we don't use those. These buttons there are to indicate that the machine has been ohmed, or you can reference each axis individually by pushing those buttons. Again, I've gone through that in the ohming sequence, so I'll go back to that video to see that. Ohm all, again, go to the ohming sequence video for that. That is ohm all. Go to 0. We'll do exactly what it says. If I move that there, if I click on go to 0 now, the machine will move to 0. There you go. Safe Z moves the machine to a set coordinate, something like 20 millimeters above work 0. There you go. That's programmable. You can set the amount, but it does. It's not something you really use. It's not something you use. And 0 all, you could 0. If I click on 0 all, it will 0 out all the axes together. It's not something you use often, to be honest with you, because you want to set them individually anyway. So G54, 55, 56, they're the work offsets. I won't go into them now because I'll do different videos for those, but by default you will work in G54. Right, at the side there you've got a little information screen telling you things that have happened in the machine as it's being used. We recommend you don't clear that, because if you ever have a problem we will ask you to tell us what it says in there. You can clear it, like if I clear that now, it's cleared, and then if any more come, they'll come in, but we recommend you don't clear them, you just leave that. Cycle time, that's how long your job has been running from after you push cycle. It lets you know how long you've run the machine for. These buttons there, they show different screens. So that's your main screen. That's the screen for your offsets. Again, I will go into offsets in greater detail another time. The tools one, you don't really use tools because we don't have a tool changer on it. Same with the probe. You don't really mess in there because we don't have a touch probe. Settings, that's all the settings for the machine. We highly recommend you don't go in there. And dialogue, that's just it's a diagnostic screen showing you what's happening on the machine. If you have a problem with the machine, we might ask you to go in there and tell us what's happening in these buttons. Will turn on and off, various things will happen in there. We might ask you to look in there for us. The cam and the help are really no use. It's a simple cam program, but it's rubbish. And help just gives you a bit of information about different things. Like it's quite good for if you want to know what a G code is. It tells you G codes and things like that. So that's a brief overview of the Uccnc. Cheers.